coordinator. I am the program coordinator for the Applied Behavior Analysis program here at Wayne State University. And we did this last year. It was kind of a new thing to do. Our open house is kind of unique in the sense that one of our missions with our program is to give people a little bit more knowledge about what applied behavior analysis is, in addition to asking people to join the program. So we have started to bring in some guest speakers for our open houses. And last year it worked out really well. So we're going to do that again this year. So I'm going to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about applied behavior analysis. And then I have two guest speakers that are students from the program, one who's a current student and one who is alumni. And then they're going to tell a little bit about their experiences and give you guys a chance to maybe pick their brain about things that might be a little bit different than what you might ask me. And then I have some details after that about each, the undergraduate program and the graduate program, and kind of lay out some of the basics. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end, and then we'll call it a day. So that's kind of what's on my agenda. I think I introduced myself to several of you already. If you just joined, welcome. Thanks for coming. And like I said, we'll give you guys an opportunity to kind of ask a few questions as we go forward. I'm going to start just by just talking a bit. Actually, I can go ahead and do this so it looks a little bit better. I'm going to talk just a bit about applied behavior analysis. So for anybody who's not already working in the field, applied behavior analysis is based on learning theory, and it is a fairly new field. So this is one of the reasons why we do this. A lot of times when you're working in the field, you're working in either an educational setting or a behavioral health setting. The idea with applied behavior analysis and what students really learn how to do is they learn how to individually work with students or clients by assessing their individual needs for whatever it is that they are working on. You also learn to create plans, implement, and evaluate effective programs, whether those things are in an educational setting or whether those things are in more of a behavioral health setting. And the idea is that you're really working to be as a resource for people out in the world, so that you're working sometimes in clinic settings, you're working sometimes in schools, sometimes in the homes, but you as a behavior analyst, so either a BCBA or a BCABA, and I'll explain a little bit about what that means, in the future would be able to collaborate with families and clients so that you could really help them access other things that they need in the community. A lot of what we're doing is we're teaching effective skills across a variety of skill domains. So some things might include communication, they might include daily living skills. I'm sorry, I thought I had another slide in there, but anyways, they might include things like daily living skills, but typically a lot of our students are going to work in community settings out in the field working with people with autism, but some of them also work in other areas such as traumatic brain injury, or as I said, in some different educational settings. Sometimes people will work in psychiatric hospitals or other kinds of areas where people are needing additional help with their behaviors or their skill development. So that's just a little basic on what applied behavior analysis is. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, we offer here at Wayne State both an undergraduate level and a graduate level. So the undergraduate degree is a BCABA. So what that stands for is a board certified assistant behavior analyst. And then our master's degree in applied behavior analysis helps students acquire what's called a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst. So we'll talk a little bit about the differences on those things. But as I said, a lot of times you're working with people who have autism, You're working to better understand why their behavior occurs, what kinds of interventions they need, how to address whatever their unique needs are. There is often opportunity to participate in research out in the field. So there's a lot that you would learn in relationship to both reading and conducting research, as well as just general problem solving. So when our students come into our program, it's not a lot of just, here's the information, but really teaching people how to use the information and take that out in the field. And then a lot of what you do is really talking with a lot of different audiences. So when we work with people out in the field, a lot of the people we interact with are parents. A lot of times we're interacting with school personnel, other professionals out in the field, such as people in speech and language or OT, sometimes different medical doctors. So we're really talking and working with a lot of people, including insurance payers and things like that. Like I said, you have these pathways to the board certified credential. In the state of Michigan, we also have a license. If you are looking to use this in another state, there are numerous states that have licensure. They're all a little bit different, but our state pretty much mimics what the national board requirements are, but you would have to get certified and then get a license. There are opportunities for people to work in different educational settings, whether it's K through 12 or whether it's higher education. We do have a lot of people in the field that then go forward to teach classes and work in a university setting as well. Some people might be working in fields related to personal health and wellness, life coaching, and one of the other big areas is organizational behavioral management, where we kind of use our behavior analysis at more of a large system scale type things and kind of work with different industries and whatnot. So that's kind of a general idea of the kinds of things that you might be looking into. Before I talk specifically about the program and all the details about the different programs that we have and the courses that are involved, I'd like to introduce our two guests. So we have Cindi Lonik and Hannah Cohen. Cindi is going to talk a little bit about, she is an alumni who graduated a couple of years ago, and she has worked in the field in both applied behavior analysis as well as in the school setting. So I'd like her to talk a little bit to you guys about that and just about her experiences. And then Hannah is a current student, and she is in the 4th semester within our graduate program, and she is also our student ABA group president. So I'd like her to talk a little bit about her current experience in the coursework, in her field work, and then a little bit about what we have to offer for that. At this point, I want to stop sharing so that you guys can have more of a conversation with our speakers if need be. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Cindi so that she can talk a little bit about her experiences.
Hi, thank you, Krista, for the introduction. I am Cindi Lonik. I currently am a BCBA and LBA and work for a school district in Wayne County. So I originally started off doing autism therapy in home, and I did that for many years, and then moved to Michigan and started doing that more in the school setting, which is where I started grad school at Wayne. I did all my practicum experience at a school, at a center-based school. So typically kids at a center-based classroom have significant needs, and many of them more ASD, traumatic brain injury, cognitive impairment, or emotional impairment. So I was able to really use my skills across the variety of different needs for students, and which was such a great experience, but also very overwhelming due to, schools and a lot of teachers really don't have a lot of experience in behavior management. So when you come into a school and, Wayne County, or not Wayne County, but Wayne State really prepared me and gave me a lot of knowledge, it can be intimidating. So, you start with a lot of building relationships before you, start suggesting things. Which was just a learning curve for me. In a clinic setting or an in-home setting, people just want that information and they want to be told what to do to help their children. And it's just a little bit different in schools. So I was in the program and almost graduated before I then started the school psych program at Wayne. And, I think the biggest driving force for me to add on that school psych degree in licensing was to really work with preparing relationships between outside ABA and schools, because it's such a relationship that is it's difficult. It's, I think when you're doing ABA outside of school, it looks very different than what you would do inside of a school. And so, yeah, that was my biggest driving force, was to be more of a collaborator and prepare those relationships. And yeah, so now here I am. I work in a school district as a school psych, but I'm able to use all of my BCBA skills with a lot of behavior management, which is, has always been a need in the school system, but now because of COVID, we see so many more behaviors that we are addressing, and social emotional learning that we're, use a lot of ABA techniques for. And yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. Krista, is there anything else you wanted me to cover specifically?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if you could just share, like, what does your day look like when you work in the schools? Like, what kinds of things do you utilize from the BCBA program there? And, I guess just kind of how does it help you do the job there that you have?
Yeah, so when I first started working in the schools, everything was just crisis response. Everything was, kids were already like meltdowns, and they call the BCBA in to think that they have like this magic wand to like make the behavior disappear. So now with forming relationships, it's a lot of like teaching skills that students don't have, instead of just like thinking that students are going to just magically get the skills to follow a routine and participate in their work. So I've done a lot with assessing kids where their needs are and figuring out where their skill deficits are, and then making plans and how we can build off of those skills instead of just responding to a crisis behavior. So that has been just a great opportunity to kind of show, some kids don't have the communication we think they have, and using that data and data collection too has been like this really big thing that is eye-opening for teachers and for classrooms to utilize. So that's kind of where we started and where we are. But typically my day is a little bit different than just in a BCBA role, because I am a school psych as well. But I do lots of classroom observations throughout the day, and just so much collaboration with teams to figure out what's going on with students. We have weekly meetings where students can be brought up from teachers, and whether it's like an academic need or a behavioral need, I feel like the BCBA in me is just like, oh, I got this. I know how to assess this. I can help you guys, take the data you need, and we can come up with an intervention and see if it's working. So today, I will tell you, this is the first time I've been in my office, because I've just been on the move in classrooms working with students. As a BCBA in a school district, you don't really work a lot of one-on-one with student. Like you're more just kind of collaborating with teams that would work more one-on-one with them. I feel like in a clinic and home, you kind of get a little bit spoiled with being able to spend a lot more one-on-one time with the students or clients you have. There's pros and cons. I think I really like the idea that I'm giving all the skills that I know to other people that they can utilize. I teach a lot to the teachers about how to keep data and how important data is, and how to operationalize the behaviors we want to see instead of just having it be broad. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
And do you mind if I ask one more question, Cindy? You've also had some experience working in the clinic. So what does like you kind of said it's not quite the same because you get to spend a lot more time. So what does that look like when you're working in the clinic as a BCBA versus working in the school?
So I feel like in the clinic, you're able to see more with what your team is working with. You can view them through a computer monitor or however, or just in the room. But in a school setting, it's not always like that. It's a lot more meeting and getting feedback from teachers, because you can't always just be in a classroom. You know, in a clinic, you have your maybe 20 clients. In a school district, you know, I have 800 students. So it's just very different in the sense that the kids with like the most significant needs tend to get a little bit more of your time. And that, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And then,
Are
you
you
know, you
the
just have to
only
carve out
behavior
that time.
analyst? I'm sorry, are you the only behavior analyst in your district?
I was the only behavior analyst in 2 of the districts before this. I worked in Washtenaw County and was the only behavior analyst in 1 district that had, I don't even know how many students. And I was doing high school, I was doing like virtual school, all the way down to like elementary. So it was just everywhere. In my current district as a school psych and BCBA, I am not the only BCBA. There are 2 others, but then there's also, it's a little interesting, there's these behavior interventionist roles, which are people who have experience in behavior intervention, but are not BCBAs, BCABAs. So it's different.
Mm-hmm. And which school district are you in now?
So I currently am in Livonia Public Schools, and we do have BCBAs here as well as behavior interventionists that have background, and I love it. It's like the greatest fit for me. I can't like express how amazing they do here, and to be privileged to be part of a team that is always looking to do what is right by the child. Like every meeting, it's like, okay, what does this child need? That's what we need to do. So you don't get that in every school district, but this one has it. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Hannah. And remember, Hannah is our current student. And then Hannah, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the different roles, what your experience is in the school, and then what your experience is in the field placement that you have.
Okay, so I'm Hannah Cohen. As Krista said, I'm in my 4th semester right now, 4 or 5. So almost done actually, which is pretty crazy. I am currently in a field placement at Spectrum Therapy Center in Ann Arbor. So that's where I'm getting all of my field work done. So far with school and work, I think a really cool thing about Wayne State is they're very interactive with your field placement, which has been really beneficial to me to be able to have a lot of experiences in my field placement that I might not have had in a different program. Obviously, I can't say that for sure because I'm not in a different program, but Wayne State, some of the things that they do is we have different assignments throughout the semester, and we call them packets for the semester, but things that we're actually doing in our field experience that help us grow and learn how to do the different assessments, the different like applying the principles of ABA to our actual work and doing it as we're going through school so that we're better prepared once we are a BCBA. And I think my field placement has been really great with this too, and giving me opportunities. For myself, I've had experience so far working in home, one-on-one. I've done in clinic one-on-one therapy, as well as social skills therapy, where I work with groups of kids together. And I've been able to perform different assessments, parent interviews, parent meetings. I work really closely with the director of my clinic, as well as all of my supervisors on all of my stuff for Wayne State, as well as the extra stuff that we're doing in clinic. And I think my role within the clinic has progressed as my time in school has gone on too. And I owe a lot of that to Wayne State and them giving me these opportunities within my clinic so that I'm able to continue progressing, and they're able to trust me with more things, and I'm doing more things on my own, and I'm doing more things with my supervisor because I had done them in school and I learned about it in school. And I think another thing is when we're learning the different information in Wayne State, we're not in person, but face to face, which is different than a lot of the grad programs for ABA as well. Personally, I learn better when I'm actually hearing from a professor as opposed to an online program. So that was really beneficial to me. But also it allows us to have really open discussions about the things that we're learning about. and go more in depth on the things and relate them to our experiences in clinic and hear other people's experiences doing the same things. And I've gained such a broad understanding of what this field is and what it can offer. And I think that's been super, super beneficial. So that's been my experience so far with work and school and kind of those two things coming together. And it's been really positive for me. And I can't express enough how much I've been able to do because I was able to do all these things through Wayne State in my actual practicum. So that's been really great for me. Is there more about school and work?
Quick question about your field experience. How did you get there? Like, how did you end up choosing that? And what was your experience before you were at that placement? Did you have experience as a behavior technician already, or?
So it was kind of a weird way that I ended up there. I feel like that's how a lot of people fall into ABA. They just end up there. My undergrad, I went to Purdue University and I was a public health major, and I needed an internship for public health. So I knew somebody who worked at Spectrum, and they were able to get me in connection, and they took me on as a public health intern, which is kind of interesting because you might not consider ABA under public health. But my main focus with public health, was health education. And a lot of what goes into being a BCBA is educating parents, educating other people, research, stuff like that. So there's actually a lot of connection there, which is another reason why I really like ABA. So I was an intern there the summer before my senior year of undergrad, and I worked with kids, but I also did other things for them. I created basically like a little bit of a training program, or like a once you're hired, here's how we're going to get you to the next level of being a tech. So I created that for them. So it was a little bit of a different experience. I haven't worked in other clinics. I have a lot of friends who have worked in other clinics, and even in Indiana, I had known about a couple different places, OTs who work in different clinics. So I can say I know that Spectrum has been a really great experience, and I know other clinics are too, but a lot of things about Spectrum are just really great to me. So once I graduated, I was a pandemic grad, so I was a little bit stuck on where I wanted to go from there. And I just had such a positive experience working in the field. So I reached out to them and they were happy to have me back. I can say my role as a tech has changed a lot going through the program. I think I touched on that a little bit, but when I started, it was a very typical tech role. I had my supervisor, I had my set of kids that I would rotate between, and I would implement programs. And now in the position that I'm in, I'm assessing kids, assessing new kids, doing reassessments, working with my supervisor on creating goals, hosting parent meetings, answering more and more questions independently. I am taking on, we have teams of techs at my clinic, so they can come to me with questions as opposed to just our BCBA, which has been really cool too. So I've definitely taken on a very different role within the clinic, but it's been really great getting to do all those things and building those skills as well.
It's so amazing, like listening to all that stuff that you're doing. And I mean, you're only in your fourth semester. I mean, I know you're almost done, but it's such a short period of time to have that kind of a transformation, to be able to go from just doing, lower level types of things where somebody's instructing you to now you're training, you're developing, you're doing all of that. So that's pretty incredible. Nice job, Hannah.
It's really cool. And I think what else is cool is like my BCBAs, my supervisors, I mean, they're not that much older than me, but they've been out of school for a few years, and I can come and I can say, hey, I just learned about this. This is a newer thing, or check out this article that I read. And they're very receptive to it. They like to look at what we're learning and what we're doing. And that allows me to help implement some new things and try out these new things that I'm learning in school. And a lot of them have been very successful and have kind of taken us to a different level within our clinic, as well as we're introducing these new things to them. So that's been really cool too.
Awesome. Really good. Do you want to talk a little bit about our ABA student group?
Yeah, so I am the president of the ABA student group. Our student group does a few different things. I think what has been one of the coolest things being a part of it for me is it's kind of made the program seem a lot more personal for me. Um, right now, we have a mentor program. So my cohort is considered like the older cohort, and then the newer cohort just started this semester. So my cohort, almost everybody is a mentor. And then we created mentee mentor groups. So the younger cohort, as well as some BCABA students, so the undergrad students, have been able to be a part of our mentor program. And we host monthly meetings and study sessions and kind of help with that transition into grad school because it can be a little bit overwhelming. And from the feedback that I've had so far, I think it's been beneficial for the younger cohort. They we're able to kind of just give them from a student perspective what they can expect to see as they're starting, what might be more difficult in starting this program, what can be a little bit overwhelming, and how to navigate some of those things. When I was starting as well, my mentor was the president, and she was really helpful to me as well and in transitioning me into this position. So the mentor program is one of my favorite things. I really like it. And it's really nice to be able to know some of the younger students as well. I don't want to say younger because they might be older than me, but newer students. And just getting to know them and building that network is really cool because now I'll be able to recognize more names when I'm out into the field. And that's a really big thing to me. As well as that, we're starting a podcast through the student group. And right now we're interviewing alumni. I have one coming out soon. And then from there, we have a few more interviews scheduled to do. And this has been a really, really cool experience for me. I didn't think that I would enjoy it as much as I have because it's work, but I have learned so much from these alum already and what they do and what else you can do as a BCBA, because in school we're learning a lot about the different roles that a BCBA can take on, but actually hearing from BCBAs who graduated from Wayne State and all the incredible things they're doing. Just to give an example, I interviewed a woman who has traveled overseas to help with ABA clinics, and I would not have known that without this experience. So that's been really cool for me and has really gotten my own wheels turning about what I want to do as a BCBA. So that's been really exciting. Those are the two main things we do. And then we help organize different things. We helped organize with the Autism Walk over the summer. Our cohort raised money for that. So I think it really makes it feel more personal and makes it feel like we're involved not only in school and work, but like with our own community and building those relationships, which has been really great.
Yeah, the student group really kind of manages itself. So every year, I think, Hannah, you're our fourth student president from this group. And every year, whoever is in the group, they kind of come up with, this is what I would like to do with my time. And the podcast thing, that was completely Hannah's idea. So like, she's like, oh, it's a little bit of work. Well, she definitely brought that work upon herself because I would
I
have
did,
never
yeah.
thought to do a podcast, but it is really exciting and very cool that you're doing that. And I guess I just want to point out, like, it's something that, like, it's not like it's directed by me per se. The mentorship program is definitely something that that needs to be a big focus of the group because that's kind of why the group was created. But whatever else the group wants to do, if they want to, one year it was right before the pandemic, so it didn't happen, but we were going to coordinate with the theater group to try to offer a sensory friendly autism theater night. Like, it just depends on whatever happens, like who brings connections, who brings ideas, and then the group can kind of do whatever they want to do. But the main goal is that the students have an opportunity to work with another cohort so that they can get, the kind of things that the students don't want to ask me. right? Like, and this is why I bring them as alumni and current students, because students do want to talk to other students. Of course, they want to ask me things as the program director, as their instructor, but they also want to talk to other students. And this really gives a direct line because the students really know what they had to do to be successful. So I think that it's one of my favorite things. And we went online, and I do think that it helped us keep that, connection between the students and kind of keep that community piece strong. But we will continue to be online, but our cohorts will continue to remain small. And I think that this will be a really awesome opportunity for people to stay connected. Like you said, Hannah, you get to know like even more people than you would have known just from your class. And then you get to have their resources and then their cohorts resources, because if you kind of continue this, then whoever was their mentors are also usually in the picture. So it's just a really cool domino effect. So that was really great. Thank you so much, Hannah. If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to go back and share my screen. I'd like to roll through a couple more things just to acclimate everybody to some of the basics of the programs, and then we can open it back up to some questions if anybody has them. So we have the two programs, like I said, we have our BCABA, which is our undergraduate program. Like Hannah was saying, our programs are very interactive. Although they are online, they're very discussion based. Our goal is to train you extensively in applied behavior analysis. We do have a focus on autism because that's most of what people are going to experience. Mostly everybody's experiences in an autism clinic or working with people with developmental disabilities. But we do have the opportunity to kind of expand and talk about other placements and other experiences. As I said, we have this field placement assistance, and that's integrated throughout the entire coursework for both and the undergraduate. Our undergraduate program prepares you to sit for the BCABA exam. It's really, I like to classify our programs as challenging but supportive. You are going to be prepared, and we want you to be prepared. We want you to pass your exam. We want you to be good practitioners out in the field, which means that you have to work hard because there's a lot of complexity to what we do. But it's our role to also support you and make sure that you have what you need and meet with you and educate you as much as you need to in order to get through that challenging curriculum. So that's kind of how I categorize that. As I said, we're in the process of applying for minor status for this program. Currently, if you're a psychology major, you can apply to have the BCABA program as your minor. And then hopefully by the time we run this again in the fall, it will be able to be a minor for everybody. Our undergraduate program is 3 semesters. There are 2 classes each semester. Our cohorts start in the fall. So you go fall semester, you take our introductory class and our ethics class. Winter semester, you take our assessment class and then our first field experience class. And then the next fall, you'll take the 3rd semester, which will be our assessment and treatment class, along with our second field experience class. Each of our field experience classes for both our graduate and our undergraduate courses are classes. They're live classes that you attend. You do a lot of discussion and a lot of practice in the class, either through role play or through activities or readings that are associated with things that you're going to need to do out in the field, and then having an opportunity to kind of process those things in the class. As Hannah was saying, there are some assignments that you have to do out in the field and then bring those back to class to turn in, and those occur also in that field experience class. Jeff, I don't know. I don't think I sent this to you, but I can. There's a link in here to the program brochure and the program application. But if you want, you can just Google Wayne State University ABA, and then it will also bring you to our page. And then the web page has the brochure and the application on it. Both of our programs, our application deadlines are January 15th. So we're looking to get those applications in. And then if you have applied for the program, basically I will go through all of the applications, and then there's also an interview process. So I like to meet either as a group or individually with people who are applying to the program to make sure it's going to be a good fit. So that is pretty much our undergraduate program in a nutshell. You'll notice this slide is very similar. So the only difference really between the expectations for our graduate program and our undergraduate program is, of course, you have more time in the program. So this is a 5-semester program instead of a 3-semester program. But all of the same things apply. It's a very challenging program. We're training you very extensively in applied behavior analysis. We're helping you with your field experience. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're fully prepared to sit for your BCBA exam and pass that. We have 3 courses that are from the general educational psychology coursework. So we have our students take child psychology, they take child and adolescent psychopathology, and they take evaluation and measurement. Those are not classes that get you applied behavior analysis credit for the verified course sequence, but we do feel like they are important supplementary classes for your degree. We then have we have 6 foundational courses in applied behavior analysis. So our foundations, our assessment, our treatment planning, we have an advanced treatment planning class, we have a research methods class, and we have an ethics class. One semester you take 2 of those. So second semesters are tough semester where you have 2 ABA classes and a field experience class. And then the other semesters you have 1 ABA class and 1 ed psych class along with your field experience class. And then, as I said, we have our field experience classes, and those coincide each semester with the core classes. And there's kind of a different topic for each one. Our first one is just kind of getting acclimated to ABA, learning your role, understanding EIBI or early intervention type things. The second one is a lot about parent training and how to have good communication and organizational skills. Our third class partners with our treatment planning. So it's really a lot about making sure that you can work with multiple clients, making sure that you're working on a team, that you know how to write treatment plans and whatnot. Our second to the last field experience class kind of takes a broader look at applied behavior analysis. It looks at how do you utilize applied behavior analysis in different fields with different diagnoses and whatnot. Oops. And then our last class is our field experience 7110, and this one focuses on supervision, and it focuses on making sure that you can go out into the field and that you can oversee and train other people in the field. So that's kind of the gist of what we're looking for with our coursework. As I said, it's a 5-semester plan. This information is also on our website, but you have your 2 ABA classes and then child psych, and then winter. We do go all year through on this one. So our undergraduate course, we don't do spring, summer, but in our graduate course we do. So it's 5 consecutive semesters. So you will graduate in a year and a half with that program. Again, on our website, we have program information and our link to our program application. Same thing, this is due on January 15th, and all of our applicants that we want to maybe potentially invite to our program, we start with an interview and make sure that it's a good fit before we offer them an opportunity for that. This is me, and this is my contact information. As I said, I am the program coordinator. I review all of the applications, I hire all of the lecturers, and I work directly with the students on all of the field experience placement. I also teach 4 out of 5 of the semesters. So if you join the program for the graduate program, you and I will get to know each other very well. But if anybody has any questions, certainly they can reach out to me at any time.